By a show of hands, who knows what this is a picture of? Okay, some of you. Who feels like you are constantly walking on one, balancing work, relationships, school, and every other damn thing, right? Oop, meet me at 20. Although slacklining wasn't a thing at the time, apparently beer bonging still was. I was an unbalanced hot mess. My mornings would begin with a Diet Coke and a cigarette. My days would close with a bowl of pasta covered in that really sketchy spray butter, washed down with like 3 glasses of cheap wine, or perhaps beer through a bacteria-riddled tube, whichever tickled my fancy. I would yo-yo between diets, finally committing to an eating disorder that would compel me, like a zombie, to walk to the corner store for a half-gallon of ice cream and an entire sleeve of cookie dough. I'd take it back to my apartment, tuck away in my bedroom, hide from my roommate, and start anxiously and expeditiously eating all of it. If I discovered the willpower, I might have put dish soap over everything and walked away. If not, I'd eat it all. And then I'd crawl into bed, close my eyes, and I'd take a nap. Because I finally felt at peace. I finally felt calm. I finally felt relaxed after all that anxiety. This behavioral pattern of binging and purging would happen about twice a week. So not enough to derail every meal, but enough to have me living in a state of limbo somewhere between guilt and anxiety. And the word well-being, well, it never even entered my mind, much less exited my mouth. Well-being, what is it exactly? Well, it is not this. It is not this. Late night sessions with pizza in your computer. And it is most definitely not that. And we like to think that well-being is this. Or maybe it looks like this guy. Or maybe it's this. But the truth is, y'all, well-being isn't something captured by a photo, because it's not something seen on the outside. It's something experienced on the inside. And that experience is different for each and every one of you. To be a well-being means to live a life that is enlivened, awakened, and inspired. One where you give the best of yourself to you, but you also give that best self to others, right? College is a tough time. Your relationship with well-being can be a little bit complicated. By a show of hands, how many people in the audience know someone who has struggled with wellness for decades? Maybe a mom, aunt, brother, sister, so most all of you. If you asked them when that struggle began, many of them would point to those nebulous years in high school and college. Meet Sharon. Sharon and I go to yoga together. She's the mom of a couple kids. She has a husband. She's got a full-time gig. She's also a nutrition client of mine. When Sharon and I first got together to talk about her well-being goals, she talked to me about, through tears, about her struggles with bulimia. She talked to me about her wine to manage stress strategy. She talked to me about lacking the motivation to work out. And she talked to me about not wanting to spend time with her husband and her kids, even though that time was fleeting and often filled with tasks. When I asked Sharon to reflect on a time in her life when that negative relationship with wellness began, she pointed to pivotal moments in both high school and in college. Moments that have defined her relationship with well-being ever since in a very, very negative way. 18 years later. So where do you begin? How do you focus on finding your own unique expression of wellness? College is an interesting time, right? You leave parental guidance and oversight for freedom and lack of supervision. You are probably for the first time balancing school and work. You are provided endless food options in whatever cafeteria that graces your campus. You have access to as much alcohol as you could possibly hope to consume, and just enough money to buy the crappiest of food. And all the while, you want to feel good, and you want to look good too, without knowing how to make that happen, and what feeling good means to you as an individual, not the person to your left and to your right. So what do you do about it? Well, you begin your journey toward wellness by focusing within the 6 elements of well-being: activity, nutrition, mindfulness, financial health, charitable giving, and sleep. Yep, sleep, the one thing we are willing to forego to get every other thing done on our long list of tasks, right? But arguably, the most important of the 6 elements of well-being. Okay, so my talks are always a little bit interactive, so you're going to have to perk up and engage. I want you to look at these elements. Some you're nailing, right? You're like an activity guru. You've got nutrition totally locked down. Others require a little more of your attention, maybe any of your attention at all. I want you to think about one element of well-being that you need to work within, one that requires more of your focus. I'm a mom to a ton of kids. I am a graduate student. I'm also a full-time communications consultant, as you heard. So for me, the element of well-being I need to focus on is sleep. What's yours? You have it in your thoughts? Yes? Okay, cool. All right. Now, I want you to think of a goal you'd like to achieve within that element of well-being. Something you'd like to accomplish. If mine's sleep, my goal is to get 7 hours of sleep at least 3 nights per week. The goal needs to be measurable. Eating healthier, noble, not a great goal. Eating vegetables at every meal, awesome goal. I want you to take a moment, either write it down, type it in your phone, go ahead and get busy, and identify your goal. I do realize that asking some of you to look at your phones is probably a risky bet on my behalf, but just kind of return to me when you're done. I'll give you a minute. Go, do it. Seriously. Write your goal down. Okay, you got it? Step 2 of 2. What we know about goals is that they're more easily achieved when connected to deeper meaning. Do I work out to lose 20 pounds? Do I work out to lower my blood pressure so I can be here for my children for decades to come? Do I become a vegetarian because it's trendy? Or do I become a vegetarian because of the environmental implications of confined animal feeding operations, right? In most cases, when you connect a goal to meaning beyond pant size and popular opinion, you're more likely to achieve it. So I want you to finish this sentence for me. Working toward this goal will change my life by. If it's not your life, somebody else's, that's great. Go ahead, return to that pen and paper, return to notes in your phone. If you're a super whiz and you can hold all of this in your brains, that's cool too. And fill in this blank. Working toward this goal will change my life by. For me, getting more sleep will make me a more present parent and a more engaged and productive employee. That's my why. As my child sighs and is like, will it? Yes, it will, I promise. You got it? Okay, good. So what do you do about it? What's the first step you take to achieving that goal? During those tumultuous college years, for me, my life was driven by a nasty negative voice in my head. One that told me what I should do and one that told me how I should look. And it was there at the ready welcoming me with open arms to tell me how awful I was when I didn't achieve the damn near impossible thing it told me that I should, right? That voice lives in all of your minds, right? You all have that nasty voice that tells you stories. It sounds like applause, but I think it's rain. You're welcome. Applause from the universe. This voice stands between you and your goals by presenting steps that make it near impossible to achieve. And it does this through the use of 3 single-syllable words: should, could, and counts. Should is not innately a bad word, right? I should put on my pants before I go to work or school. Yes, you should, and the world thanks you for it. Should is fine. But should, as it relates to well-being goals, shows up a little something like this. I should lose 20 pounds, right? Should is the goal. Should lose 20 pounds. Totally fair, totally fine. Then could enters the scene. And could is the first sign of doubt, the first hemming and hawing. And it sounds a little something like, well, I should lose 20 pounds. I could if I could afford to buy healthier food, right? And then counts enters that nasty narrative. And counts is like the nail on the coffin of our goals. I should lose 20 pounds. I could if I had more money to buy healthy food. But it only counts if I'm eating that healthy food at every single meal, every single day, and I most definitely cannot afford to make that happen. So then what happens? You are frozen in an action because the steps you've outlined to achieve your goal are not reasonable and achievable for you in your life based on what's available and accessible, right? So what do? Well, you feel shame. You feel shame because you can't achieve the impossible thing that voice told you that you should. So what do you do about it? You identify the narrative you're telling yourself around your goal, that one that you just identified with me a few moments ago. And then you write a new one where that positive intention meets realistic action, right? Doesn't mean it's not challenging action. It just means it's realistic. We've all heard the saying, we are creatures of habit, yes? Well, habits are just patterns intuitively designed by our bodies to stop us from wasting energy at all costs. They more effectively and efficiently get us from point A to point B back to point A, home to work, work to home. But habits, in regards to well-being, become a little more complicated because we think it's got to be go big or go home, right? It's a 3-week juice cleanse or we're not doing it. It's 30 pounds or it doesn't even count. It's thousands of dollars to charity or we're not donating a dime. When you want to get stronger, what do? Lift weights, throw tires, go for a jog, whatever's your thing, right? When you want to ace a chemistry exam or become more knowledgeable on a subject, what do? You study. Yeah, of course. Or you pray. But that aside, you study. Well, when you want to become someone who can create big habits in support of your well-being goal, you need to start by exercising and training and building your habit-making muscle. Once you get good at the small, tiny, teeny habits, then you can go for the big time, right? But you have to start small. You have to start training that muscle so that you can become good at making new habits. So what do we know about well-being? We know that it's an inside job. We know that you need to set a goal and you need to attach that goal to deeper meaning. We know that you're going to tell yourself kind of a nasty story and you need to own it and then tell yourself a new one. And we know that in order to become new wellness pattern-making machines, you've got to start by creating tiny, teeny, teeny, tiny habits in support of your goal. What else? Well, you also need to have grit and invite grace, right? Grit to relentlessly go after your goals. And to also see your life change for the better, which might mean losing some friends, ostracizing some family. It might mean changing social activities. It also might mean gaining new friends and developing new social activities you like even more, right? And grace, because this well-being stuff is wicked, wicked hard. It is not easy. And along your path to achieving your goal, you need to have patience with yourself and you need to have compassion. And knowing that wellness is a journey, y'all, it is not a destination. The success in wellness, in fact, is in the working toward it, not the arriving at it. We never arrive. None of us will ever arrive at a state of Zen well-being. It won't happen. You are going to succeed. And then you're going to fail. And then you are going to try again. And you're going to do this for the rest of your life as you work to become someone who's enlivened, awakened, and inspired, and someone who shares that with other people. Much has changed in my life since I was a student here at VCU some 13 years ago. Because I had the courage to go after my goals, and because I had the patience to enter that cycle of success and failure, and then rinse and repeat. What began as me trying to gain some semblance of normalcy has evolved into a passion for wellness, driven by the unwavering mission to create a more well world. It is my greatest of hopes that that passion is ignited in each of you and that you share that light with the world. And the universe wants you to as well. I just want to be clear, like this is a sign, so you're all with me. That you share that with others as well. It is no shock to any of you that we are facing a health crisis in communities across our country, right? One that informs some of the biggest, most pressing environmental and health issues of our time, like global warming, access to clean water, or non-communicable diseases like heart disease and cancer. But you can change that. All you need to do is be someone so intensely focused on wellness, someone that shares that message in a way that invites participation, really is like my encore. And someone that demands that, and this is important, someone that demands that of the institutions and organizations where you work and live. Can you believe it? I can't yell any louder. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.